Hello everyone, welcome to MJ Hobby Corner. My name is Martin, and today I want to show you guys the beginnings of a new mesh army. And these vehicles that I'm about to show were designed primarily with the tips of spoons, and these are plastic spoons. Now, as I said, these vehicles are going to be used as part of my mesh armies. So I haven't made the troops yet, but that work will begin shortly. I decided to begin with air support first. And so I made a couple of transports. I'll describe what this is in just a minute. But we're going to start here with the transports, and I'll show them to you and talk a little bit about the construction for these things. All right, so let's look at the first craft. This is a very large craft. It's atmospheric. All the wings, the elevators, the rudder, they're all made of index card. And if you look at the plastic spoon surface, what makes up most of the hull, you will see little pieces, little shapes of index card. This is a technique that I like to use. It provides me with almost like a skin for the craft, but it textures everything, right? So that's why I like using it, because the a plastic spoon surface is very smooth, very plain, right? And so adding the little index card shapes, it's an extra step, but it really, really helps add detail to the surface. And I do it on the bottom of the craft as well. You can see the open ramp right here. Okay, this is an open ramp. It's made of card. It is being supported by little cable tie bits. The landing gears are also made of little cable ties. I'm trying to get it into the camera as best I can. But you can see the ramp down there. That's where the troops would disembark. And I would probably use it to transport 2 of these bases. These are the little mesh soldiers. And maybe small vehicles, things like that. So I wanted something atmospheric and something that I could use, a specialized unit. I could either use this on the tabletop as a piece of terrain, maybe as my deployment zones. The spoon, gives it a very unique shape. Okay. Now for the engines, I use little plastic wall anchors. Okay. And I like using them. However, I've noticed that they can be expensive. They usually come in sets with screws and things like that in my area. I have a lot of them because having bought shelves last year, a lot of shelves, they often came with sets of these plastic things, and I don't use them all that much. So most of my shelves didn't need them. So I have a pretty good collection of these things. This is now an orbital transport, and I wanted to see how many different designs I could come up with using a spoon, and I have some more designs in mind. The advantages of using the spoon, since these transports were going to be large, the advantage is the shape. It gives me a much more aerodynamic shape, despite the fact that this is an orbital vehicle. It doesn't need aerodynamics. This is also going to be used in planets with very low gravity. That's my idea. So it doesn't need the rudders and everything else. The landing gears are fixed, which is an odd design. But, beauty is in the eye of the beholder with these things. It's all very, very subjective. The spoons, you can see pieces of plastic spoon for these structures. These are not true wings. These are actually platforms for the landing gear, but it's also platforms for the missile launchers here. This one does have missile defense, whereas the other ship it's only like a nose cannon, right? A little turret underneath the chin. Weapon, a small gun as well underneath the chin of the aircraft, of the spacecraft. So yeah, so this thing would come down in a low gravity atmosphere, so used by security forces on lunar colonies, and they would operate from some kind of mothership, maybe an assault vessel or something else, some kind of capital ship. And you can see that the index card shapes that I add as skin, they really help in painting as well, because you can keep paint within the lines of the structures, and that really helps. You can also see the mesh cockpit. I always do that, and this one is in flight mode. Well, I mean, this comes off the little flight stand, and the flight stand is made out of an plastic wine glass. The little side ramps and the little thrusters on the bottom, those were done with cable tie heads that I snipped up. Finally, this craft is not finished. This is another atmospheric craft. Looks like a stealth bomber. So again, this one uses my index card technique. Now, one thing I want to point out, if you notice the sides here, these sides, all of these sides, including the nose of the ship and everything along the side, those are index card pieces that help seal the plastic spoon, because when you glue the plastic spoon, you're going to have these holes, right, on the sides of the spoon. And so I decided that index card would be the cheapest way to seal everything, the most inexpensive way, and it is, rather than buying some kind of, paste or sealant or even using milliput. I don't think milliput would work as well because I have the skin here. It can, but I just preferred to do this. It was so much easier, and I didn't want to use any kind of sealing putty. So the index card, it does not warp, and it's perfect. It really is when it comes to sealing this thing. Now, again, this is going to have an AWACS system on top, and this is going to be a command ship. And I needed to create these air intakes here because this is a atmospheric craft, right? The wings have mesh inside, so there is a mesh shape that gives it strength, and this is pretty sturdy. This is very sturdy, actually. The engines are a little bit longer than I would have liked them, but that's okay. I mean, I can always trim them. Either way, I'm still not finished painting them, and then once everything is painted, I'll put the little AWACS system there. So again, we have the little wine glass plastic stand, which gives it a lot of support. And then here I want to show you some old tanks. These are mesh tanks, and these are done with a process I call layering or sandwiching different shapes to get, the hull, and then it's skinned with index card. Now these have moving parts, like that gun can shift upward. These are anti-aircraft units, and it also has the moving turret. So these are the kinds of vehicles that we'll see in my new Sci-Fi Mesh Army. But I already have a couple of tanks, a couple of anti-air systems. And so you can see that the index card works very well. So I just want to very quickly, here are the shapes of spoons that I cut out. And that is very important. I use the spoon itself, I trace it, I cut out the shape. Then when I have the shape, I fold it, and simply cut the edge, and that gives me that nice siding right here. Okay, it gives me that nice siding all around the spoon, and then when I cut the tip of the spoon, that's what I use for the nose of the craft. And I do it both on top and below. Okay, so it's an interesting technique, and like I said, and I'll always say this in my videos, the designs are always subjective, right? The designs are always subjective. What's important is the technique itself, how you make it, how you use the materials. And I always recommend that if you're doing any kind of aircraft, spacecraft, tank, whatever it is you're trying to make, know the anatomy of the vehicles, you know? In an aircraft, know what ailerons are, what flaps are, you know, elevators, flaperons, spoilers. All those things may be useful little details when you're making something. And in this spacecraft, one thing I'm going to do is little dots that represent the vectoring thrusters. That's an important thing for craft that operate in space. This is a light freighter, and notice the bow is made out of a spoon. And this is a very old piece. This was for a game of Infinite Dark. This was an objective. And so, yeah, I mean, I've used plastic spoons before, and I think they're going to fit quite nicely in these mesh armies. All right, folks. Well, that's it. I'm not going to blabber too much more. If you want to help support my work, help support the channel, think about checking out our Patreon. I have additional discussions there in terms of video content. Projects will be described probably in May issue of Scratchbuilder. This next issue coming up that I'm beginning to write is going to be dedicated to my Starship project. So we're going to be talking about starships and making some starships in the next issue, okay? So these are we're a little ahead in terms of our projects, but that's a good thing. All right, folks, thank you very much for all your support, and I will talk to you in the next video. Have a good one, and enjoy your games.